Bible to Acts 14, verse 8. I woke up in the middle of the night this week, and last week actually, and was praying for what message that we're supposed to share. And I'm reading through all of Acts, but I'm in 14, and I'm reading, and all of a sudden I went, oh, gold nugget, right there, and verse 8. And it says in Lystra, there sat a man crippled in his feet who was lame from birth and had never walked. He listened to Paul as he was speaking. Paul looked directly at him and saw that he had faith to be healed. And he called out, "Stand up on your feet." At that, the man jumped up and began to walk. Gold nugget. Right there. We were praying last night and talking about the people that have shortened limbs or no limbs or crippled or in a wheelchair. Those are the people we really need to start gravitating to. We have the faith. We've been learning this for a while. We've been growing. We have the faith. We need to just stand up and do it. We need to be bold in the Holy Spirit. The time is now. And we need to do that because how else are we going to get lots of people and multitudes of people to make a big squawk and get more people into the kingdom? Yes. I believe that's one way we need to do it. But I just wanted to point that out under recognition that he was listening carefully, and Paul noticed that. Maybe other people were attending to their kids or whatever, but he saw that faith in him, and he knew that he would receive it. So he just called out and said, "Stand up." I want to have that kind of faith that can just call out to people and have them stand up and walk if they've never done it. So I'm praying for all of us to go out boldly and do that today. I want to also say with recognition, I've noticed over the last couple months as God is taking me deeper into things, that things like this have happened in my past Revive outings, and I didn't really realize it at the time, but I sat there the other night, 3 a.m., and I read that gold nugget, and I thought, did I have something like that happen to me at all? The person wasn't lame or anything, but we were in a park. I was in Darke County, Ohio. It was like the second day, and I had a team of a teenager and her mom, and a guy and myself. And so we just went to the local park, and there was nobody there when we got there, but we just felt that's where we were supposed to go. As we were praying, a young kid comes running across the field at us, and he was like, "Hey, I did this yesterday. Isn't this great?" So as we're praying, other people showed up, and they were looking at us kind of strange. But we separated, and the guy and I went, and we talked to a mom and daughter, and the 8-year-old daughter received Jesus in the park. With me talking, and it turns out that my partner and the lady were distant relatives, so they were talking about that, but the young lady and I were doing that. The mom and daughter were going around and talking to some people. But as we were leaving the park, we got back together, we're leaving the park, and at the restroom building, there sat a lady up against the building. And she just kind of was by herself and looking kind of sad or whatever. I started to walk past her and go throw away something, and I thought, oh, I got to go back and talk to her. Something in her struck me, and it was a look. Same thing as this. And when I came back around, of course I was on cloud 9 because, the 8-year-old and everything was exciting. But this woman just really was rejected in her heart. And I, thinking that I was just overly excited, was being very bold and speaking to her like, "Hey, what are you doing here by yourself?" And just calling out things that I probably wouldn't have done to a stranger. Turns out, though, that lady had a policeman husband, as I do, and he works a lot of hours, and she was very lonely and feeling desperate and was sitting in the park trying to decide if she was going to ask for a divorce. And I don't know, I went so far into boldness that I later was like going, oh, you probably shouldn't have done that. But you know what? It was needed because by the time we were all done, because then the 8-year-old girl came running up while we were talking, brought a friend and said, "Can I have a wristband for her? I want to tell her all about Jesus." So, that was exciting. And we told her, that was our opening, to talk to her about Jesus, not just about the fact of how she felt, because I could relate to that. It was a very cool encounter. And it was just kind of the end of it. We weren't even thinking that was our encounter. So we got in the car, we went back to the church, and we were all excited. But later, as I was thinking about it, I'm like, that really was the divine encounter there. That I just was like being silly with. But it was the Holy Spirit had me totally giddy and talking in boldness to her about whatever. But that's the gold nugget that we need to be looking for in people, to find, and just be bold. And it turns out that's what it's supposed to be. And I didn't realize that. So Sarah?